I'm often asked the question, Richard, how is it that you stay so positive? And firstly, I want to correct that assumption and say that I'm not always positive, and there are times when I do succumb to being negative, but I would like to think that I'm more positive than I am a negative person. In fact, many times in my life, people have called me stupidly optimistic, and I'm happy to be called that. That's great. I'd always rather believe in a good outcome than suck myself down by believing in negative outcomes. And in fact, the last 10 years of my life have been extremely, extremely difficult for me. Lost a marriage. I really had to fight for access to my kids. Lost a house. There's a whole lot of loss. Spent a couple of years away from my girls, where I only saw them once a month. It was incredibly, incredibly hard. And yet, I think, as hard as it was, I didn't ever sit down on my ass and hope that things were going to get better and believe that things were going to get better. I was always prepared to do whatever it was going to take to make it better. I've always felt that I had the power and the control to affect some kind of outcome in my life. And I think that's also been what's really helped me through the cancer, is that at no stage have I sat down on my ass and just kind of waited for things to get better or hoped that things were going to get better. And yes, there are sometimes, and maybe a week at a time, when I did kind of lock myself in my room, pull the duvet over my head and hope that life just passed me by, because it was just that hard. But as soon as I'm done with that pity party, I pick myself up, and I know that I'm very good at putting one foot in front of the other and just doing actions, doing things that put myself out there and put myself into a positive space. And I do believe that that is a choice. I think it's also part of how you're wired, but I know that we blame a lot on our upbringing, and I know that people who came out of a circumstance where they had two pretty negative people as parents find it quite difficult to be positive in their lives. But again, it all just boils down to your choice, and it boils down to actions, because we as human beings default to the negative. And for my money, and there's no research behind this from my point of view, it's just a guess, we've never been the biggest on the planet. We've never been the fiercest. We've never been the one with the biggest teeth. We've always had to defend ourselves. So we are defensive by nature. We even have to defend ourselves from the elements. We have to clothe ourselves and hide out in caves, etc. And there's always been something we had to defend ourselves against or from. And because of that, we are always aware of the extremely negative nature of things around us. And we are, I think it's a heightened sense of awareness to the negative rather than the positive. And you can think about that. You might be having a fabulous day, and just one little bad thing happens, and all of a sudden you had a bad day. No, you didn't have a bad day. It was just one bad thing that happened. But yet, we tend to focus on that, and that becomes it, because energy does flow towards the negative. That's just what it is. So it means that it costs you energy, it costs you work to be positive, and it costs you in actions. And so I'm sure you've heard it said before that if you're wanting to have a one-on-one with a member of staff, and you're wanting to give them some positive reinforcement, but also some positive sort of criticism, that if you want to give somebody criticism in a way they're going to hear it, but also hear the positives, you need to be able to say 7 positive things and only 1 negative thing. So 7 to 1 is the ratio, and without that, it's as if you never said anything positive. All you said was something negative. That's the way we're wired. So it means that it does cost you energy, and it does cost you an effort to be positive. And it is something that you do choose to do. So I know it is something that I'm good at, and part of it is I choose not to look behind me. I choose not to look at what has happened. It's more a case of, okay, well, what do I do now? It's this feeling I've always had, that just keep doing things, identify what it is that you need to do to keep on moving forward and improve your situation. And if you can do that, you're focusing on the positives, and you somehow can affect that outcome, because that really is what it is. You have the control of that. And sure, the things that happen to you in life, and I've got the words "amor fati" tattooed on my right shoulder, and that is love your fate. And a lot of life is fate, but you can either embrace that and say, well, that is what it is, and I can't change that, but I can certainly change my attitude towards it. I can certainly change what I'm going to do with it. I can certainly change how I allow this thing to impact my life. And that is something I know I'm good at. So I hope that this has helped you. If it has, please push the like button. Please follow me for more, and please share if you think that somebody else could value from this video. Cheers then.